Hello, and welcome to Spoiler Alert with April, the podcast where we talk about famous endings of various media and whether you love it or you hate it. You can rate your media as a whole, share your hot takes, and discuss what you want to talk about. And on this week's episode, we have Once Upon a Time with Tammy.
Hi, I'm Tammy. Thank you for having me, April. I'm super excited to be here and talk about Once Upon a Time.
No problem. I am glad that you are here. So, let's start off with the basic info about Once Upon a Time. So, Once Upon a Time aired first October 23rd, 2011, and then it ended May 18th, 2018. And it did not win anything, but it is in our hearts. So, Tammy, summarize Once Upon a Time to someone who has never watched it before.
Um, Fairy tale stories on crack, and none of them really align with fairy tales much.
Yeah.
so, um, um, Essentially, if you took fairy tales and early 2000s movies and said, let's make a show of it and really rip every heart out.
I mean, yeah.
I don't.
But even then, like in Once Upon a Time, they connected every single fairy tale. Disney fairy tale, by the way.
Yeah,
This is supposed to be the
Frozen.
Disney,
Yeah.
fairy tales, not like the Brothers Grimm or anything.
Yeah. Well,
But
they also
they did bring in Brothers Grimm stuff,
also
actually.
brought in Brothers Grimm stuff. That's really how it started. I feel like it was. It felt because that was around the time that Grimm was happening too, and so
Oh.
I feel like it was like they saw the success of Grimm, and so how it started was with the intent to have it be kind of about Brothers Grimm fairy tales
but
with a twist.
But it ended up just being
Yeah, when they brought
Disney
Frozen
ones.
in, it was like, well,
was-
this is. I mean, even when they brought, I think they brought. Did they bring Mulan and Frozen at the same time?
no
It was
Mulan came in before
Yeah.
because they were introducing like Aurora and Philip.
Yeah, Mulan came
And then
in
Mulan
when
was just there.
When they got Vortex,
Yeah.
which was, I think that was like end of season 2. That was actually decently early now that I think about it.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember it.
Yeah.
And I didn't exactly watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like when they started bringing in Mulan is when they really started differing from that. And I was like, because Rumpelstiltskin isn't a Disney fairy tale.
Yeah,
He's specifically Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
But
then also
they brought in Mulan, and then they brought in Frozen, like all-encompassing Frozen, every aspect of Frozen.
And then also Belle. Rumpelstiltskin is Belle's beast in this.
Yeah, we're so.
Which is I don't
the most toxic couple in my opinion. Well,
we'll hit it later. We will hit it later.
Ooh.
But so since we started already going off about the show.
Sorry.
No, you're good. What are your favorite characters? Let's just start off there.
Easily Regina Mills, the evil queen.
Hmm.
Most and not just because it's like, oh, she's, she was easily one of the most dynamic characters they created.
Uh-huh.
And she, from seeing the first episode, I was like, I don't think she's just a villain. I don't think it's that clear cut. I don't think her intent is evil.
Especially with Henry.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't tell me someone's fully evil when her adoptive son is the exception, and she was actually a really good mom to him.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. Y'all can fight me on that.
No, I would agree. Listen, I'll fight anyone fisticuffs if they come at me about. She was an amazing mom. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought she was a good mom.
Easily a better mom than Emma. Easily a better mom than Emma.
1,000 times %. And speaking of, say least favorite character.
Actually, no. Emma Swan isn't least favorite, but she's down there.
She's down.
She's down there. She got to a point where I was like, okay, you're tolerable, but she's definitely down there. Her parents are definitely so much like higher up than her.
Oh no, yeah.
But
sure.
Emma Swan for sure down there. Rumpelstiltskin, I think, would have to be one of my least favorites, if not my least favorite. I hated the author. who legitimately recognized what shitty things he did to Regina.
Yeah.
Legitimately says a whole statement of, I can't remember the phrasing, but he was essentially like, you definitely got the rawest end of the deal.
Yeah, like, she got screwed over.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but he pretty much, like, admitted of, like,
he
oh,
says
yeah,
a whole
he didn't.
statement of, oh, yeah, you're definitely the saddest character I've created.
Yeah.
We're all like, oh, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Thank you for confirming that you definitely screwed her. Thank you for confirming that you screwed her specifically.
Yeah, it wasn't like an all around. It's just he was like no on her part
He
for
was
some
just
reason.
legitimately like no. Well, another least favorite would definitely be Pan.
Oh.
I hated Pan. But I liked Pan more than Rumple because he was at least upfront about the fact he was a terrible person.
Yeah, at least there's that.
Yeah.
And then like Rumple would get chance after chance, and he would betray it all the time.
And
but
then
people
they tried
still
to justify it, and that he still did bad. They justified it by being all like, "Oh, well, he has a dark heart. He actually can't help it." Okay.
Okay.
And then he forces Snow White to sacrifice Cora, Regina's mother,
Yes.
to purify his heart. And then guess what? His heart went bad. Why? Because he kept doing the same shit.
He was doing the same stuff. It's like, what was the point of all of that?
Regina had a near black heart too. And she wasn't constantly doing that evil shit. What?
What's
she must
going
do it equally more. Why is this? But he got justified. Everyone was always like, oh, well, Rumple's not that bad. And it's like, what do you mean? Rumple is very clearly worse. He will tell you he is worse.
I don't get why. Like, why would you not listen to him? Why would you not just count on that? He proved it time and time again. Yes. I don't understand.
If a bad person tells you they're bad, believe them.
Since we're talking about all the different stuff, what do you think was the best arc of the show? I don't know how you split it, but it could be seasons or it could just be like when they introduce a character.
I think they had like two. They definitely had two like big arcs within each season, except season 1.
Yes.
Season 1 was the only one.
Season 1 was
they started splitting it, and I was like, oh, I actually really like the way they split that. I actually really did, because it didn't feel rushed, but it also didn't feel too slow either.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like but I feel like they had so much they wanted to say, and so they were like, we can't just take a whole season.
Yeah.
But I will say season 1 was rough, because it was like, can we finish? It's like, it was definitely like, okay.
It was definitely a whole bunch of, are they going to remember?
Yeah.
Can they just start remembering now?
And that was the time of like 24 episodes a season.
Yeah.
You know? That was
longer.
That was like when shows actually had 24 episodes instead of 10, which I think is bull that shows now have 10.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they're the most riveting shows that you're like, come on.
You could give me more than 10.
Give me 15. Give me 20. Give me 20. I'll settle for 20. It's like, please, God, you could give me more. And it'll be like, okay, 10 episodes, and then you'll have to wait. My favorite arc, that was the question?
Yes, favorite arc.
Oh, this is hard, because I feel like, Let me break it down of different types of arcs they did.
Okay.
I think my favorite, which I've already mentioned it, my favorite like plot arc. I ate the Snow Queen up when they brought the Snow Queen in. Well, it was just, she was so heartbreaking. Also, what they did to her, like killing her, and like I get that it's like, oh, but you know, it's her redemption, and it's like, redemption for what, really? What did she do? You know what? I said that's my favorite plot arc. What did she do? Like, what? In the words of Drag Race, what did you do successfully? Quickly. It's because she didn't actually, I don't think she killed anyone.
I think it was just...
She separated Elsa and Anna.
Yeah.
Ooh. Actually, I don't even think she did that. I'm pretty sure Hans did that.
I don't know. I thought for the longest time, it was my understanding that they just didn't like the Snow Queen because the Snow Queen. Like I assumed it was like one of those like, okay, we're not talking about like Disney Snow Queen because I guess technically that's also, but
Yeah.
like actual
It
basic
was like
Snow
Brothers
Queen.
Grimm. But
Brothers
it was
Grimm
also,
Snow
but they
Queen.
also downplayed her. It was not Brothers Grimm's Snow Queen. They made her so relatable and so sad
Yeah, I
because
don't
she had
know.
Elsa's powers, and then she unintentionally killed her sister, and then was like banished for it, kind of. And
Yeah.
so it was like, it's not like she even intended to. What she intended to do was to get the like evil guy who was like being awful,
Uh-huh.
off her. And then the third sister came after everything had happened, and it was like, but that's not what happened. But she was immediately like, you're evil. And it's
Yeah.
like, and traps her in an urn. Oh my God, it's your sister. And then I just want to add this. She knows it's wrong. She ends up finding out, oh my gosh, I'm awful. I shouldn't have trapped her in that. And leaves that in her will instead of doing it herself.
Instead of just doing it,
She's like, oh, heaven forbid I apologize to my sister.
in
I will wait
person.
till I am dead and have my daughter do it. I think that arc, the Snow Queen arc, was actually my favorite, even though it pissed me off at some points.
But still,
But
ate
like,
it up.
talking small arcs, I actually ate up, and this is like the smallest arc because it was a split second before she died. Cora and Regina,
Uh-huh.
and Cora saying, "You would have been enough," and it was like,
Oh,
and
no.
then she died, and it was
Yeah.
like, ah, ah, ah. It's like, huh. I sobbed.
No, I
and that
think I
was
cried
so
too.
mad.
I
at
think I
Rumple.
cried too during that because I was like,
Oh.
what? Because
And Snow White was rightfully pissed at herself, and no one understood why. And it was like, Regina understands why. Everyone was like, you don't need to be mad. It's not your fault, this and that. And Snow was like, it totally is my fault.
yeah.
He totally was upfront about what would happen, except the fact that he would be healed. She's
But
like,
yeah, like I at least like that. There's at least that where it was like, oh, we crap. The person who made the decision realized, oh, I made the wrong decision, and this is completely my fault.
I really liked that because
I
everyone else, like, they would do a shitty thing, and the only person who like took credit for the shitty things they did was like Regina until they did that with Snow. Everyone else like would do a shitty thing and they'd be like,
well,
yeah, but that person did this
to me, and then this and that. At least for once, like Snow White admitted, like, oh crap, I did something terrible, and it didn't. It didn't need to happen. So there's at least that for it. Yeah, I remember that. That's like in my mind actually, because I was like, oh my god, because that probably would have been a good relationship to have.
That was,
and then it just disappeared for no valid reason.
so sad because you find out all of the things was only because she didn't have her heart. And the worst part was that they convinced Regina. Snow ends up convincing Regina to put the heart into her. Listen, can we talk about the Robin situation?
Oh god,
The episode Robin died. Oh, Robin.
I hate.
How could every other shitty couple survive?
But not Robin and Regina.
One good couple.
And they were really good together too. Like
So
I don't understand. How can you give someone so much character development? How can you make these characters come together in such another way?
Seasons worth.
Seasons worth. And it to not end up as an endgame. If anything, that should have been a riot. I could care less if Hook and Swan made it.
Yeah.
I would have been like, yes, we need Robin Hood and Regina together.
What's insane about that is it totally should have got canceled when that happened.
Yeah, 100%.
Without a doubt should have got canceled when that happened. How did it survive 2 more seasons?
I
totally should have got canceled.
Yeah, it should have been done, but somehow.
Rumple and Belle get to stay together. Insane.
Which is insane. Insane behavior, actually.
After mistake after mistake, after evil after evil.
And then also, he was pretty abusive to her.
So abusive.
He was really abusive to her.
Definition of a narcissistic gaslighter.
Yeah, and like, even then, it sounded like just a person who was being abused justifying their abuse. Like, like I sadly have been in a conversation of that.
Yeah.
And like they're like, "Oh, well, it's cuz this happened and I know it was this." And I was like, "What? No."
No.
And they're doing that in the show and it's like people are like, "Well, but you guys are so great together." No. What are you talking
No.
about? You are not her friend at this
I'm
point.
sorry.
You are not her friend.
They maybe were great together when they first became a thing, but he was also terrible to her back then.
Yeah, she was
like,
always really bad to her. It wasn't even like a beast, like, because I know they made Rumpelstiltskin her beast for whatever reason. I don't know why they did that, but so we're accepting that, all right. At least the beast started being nice to her.
Yeah.
He never really had a moment of time where he was just nice to her. He just did one thing that was like really nice, and then went right back to being abusive. No, the beast was nice to her and then just stayed nice to her. That's what made it work.
Learned.
Yeah, that's what made it work. You gotta at least put the development into like making him actually be like, okay, he's maybe crappy to other people, but at least he he worships the ground she walks on, like something of that nature to level it out. But there was none of that. But yet Robin and Regina can't happen. Insane.
The character development when they met each other, even in Robin, even not just in her, in Robin too.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like, I know everything about you and I love you more than all of that because none of that matters. You aren't the same person. And like it was like like no other couple had except like Snow and Charming. But you know what? What Snow and Charming did? They didn't like recognize they would do bad. They would just justify that they did bad. They legitimately took all of the evil and bad luck out of Emma as a baby and put it in Maleficent's kid.
I was like, wait a minute. That's really bad.
A baby.
Yeah.
It's like
how did this happen?
And you know what their justification for it was? They didn't take responsibility for it. They said, well, we had to save Emma. We were protecting our own.
We were protecting our own daughter by damning another.
Ooh. And Maleficent hearing her sob and being like, she was a child. She's my baby. Please don't take my baby. It's like, you guys are awful.
Yeah, like that's heartbreaking.
Especially because Maleficent wasn't doing any kind of evil at that time.
No.
She wasn't
She
doing
was
anything
just
evil.
existing.
She was just existing. Because it was like, you know what? I'm not that person, this and that. She was just existing.
You know, the more we're talking, the more I honestly think this author just hates women.
This author hates women.
I honestly am
good women.
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking he does not like women. 'Cause how's it all goes back to Rumpelstiltskin. How are you gonna have all the other female villains, even though they haven't done anything villainous in the longest time ever? They like did their repents. Like if they had a church, they would have confessed type of situation.
And comparatively, so much
less than Rumple. Like Rumple was preying on everyone's downfall. At least the other ones, it was a specific person's downfall.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't for everyone. Let's get on to our first segment.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. The first segment of our episodes, if you are listening, you know very well, of Guess the Highest Rating episodes. So, Tammy here gets to look on her phone and guess what episodes are the top 5 highest rating episodes of the whole series. I already have them down. So Tammy gets to think out loud, make her case, and I tell her if she's right or wrong.
Top 5. Okay. Oh, I have so many that I so loved. If Pilot isn't top 5 in some manner, I'd be super duper surprised because I feel like I feel like everyone when they saw the pilot was like, because like that was kind of a show
Amazing.
that like had
Yeah.
never been like done
Done.
really.
It was a very unique
Yeah,
show when it
even
first
though
came
that was
out.
around the time of Grimm, Grimm was kind of a completely different show.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was around the time that like a lot of crime shows were like huge. And so like I feel like this was like a show
It
that
was
was
different.
like people were all like, "Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
this is like we've never seen this."
Mhm.
And I was like I was much the same. I was like, "Oh.
Yeah, I think
Oh, I ate it up." The pilot actually ate. Even though I hate Emma, the pilot ate.
I did like the pilot. I think. Well, my whole thing is I only watch a show if I like the pilot.
Yeah.
If I don't like the pilot, I'm not watching it.
I'm gonna need a lot of justification to keep watching a show if I hate the pilot.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to really love whoever's in it.
Mm.
Like I don't think I've watched a pilot that I was like, okay, I'm not invested, but I'm invested in that person.
Mm.
At least not like all the way through. I might skip through to see the person. It's like, but it's like, yeah, I can't think of a single show that I was like, yeah. I would say the pilot, but I wouldn't say number one. I would say
Okay.
that was like 5,
Okay.
maybe 4. Um. Oh, I don't want to say that. Listen.
You also have hints, by the way.
Oh, I have hints.
Yes.
Okay, I might. Give me a second. I might take a hint. See, here's my problem. In my opinion, Stable Boy should be on the top 5, but I doubt it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
It's top 5 in your heart.
it's top 5 in my heart. It was just such a dynamic episode. Okay, I would like a hint. Pilot, I feel like is definitely on there.
Okay.
She said. Okay.
Okay. So, this is gonna be one. That's a big one. 3 of the top 5, season 3.
Actually, oh gosh, that's not surprising at all. I feel like that's the Pan season. Oh my god, 3 of the top 5 are season 3.
Yes. 3 of the top 5 are
Oh
season
gosh.
3.
Oh, you know what it is? Season 3 is totally Zelina. 3 of the top 5?
Yeah.
That's so many.
It's a good amount, yes.
Save Henry is like when they're actually like getting him and like can I just say Regina's blue blazer in that episode, in that like little arc of them going to Neverland, the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was so complimentary. She easily had the best costumes.
She really did.
I'm gonna say Save Henry. Is that in season 3? I don't think that is in season 3. Because I was thinking, oh, you know what? I think it totally is. I don't know which episode it is. There's an episode where they fight, Zelina and Regina, and I feel like that's one of the episodes. And I think that's the tower.
Season 3?
There's no place like home. When you find out that Marion came back. Okay, so here's my final answer for 3 of them.
Okay.
Save Henry. If it's not Save Henry, that's crazy. that's easily one of the best. They're all on a mission to save Henry. That's so actually genuinely cool. Save Henry. It's not easy being you know what? No, I lied. Save Henry, the tower, because I think the tower is when they fight. And there's no place like home. That's 3 of them that I think
Alright.
could be on there. I think my final answer for the 5th one, right? I've said the finale, I've said the 3 in season. Really? It's just 3 in season 3, the finale in season 1. That has to be wrong.
There's 3 season 3s, 1 season 4, 1 season 1.
Oh. Is there 3 season 3s? Oh, I'm missing something. The finale in season 1, Um. Oh. Okay. The finale in season 1. Season 3, I would say Save Henry. It's Not Easy Being Green. Actually, I'm gonna change that. Save Henry. The Tower. There's No Place Like Home. And then season 4. I guess I didn't say season 4, did I?
No.
Heroes and Villains. Okay, that's my
Okay.
final 5.
That's your final
and
five?
I actually think I got all of them wrong, but people have crazy takes on this show.
Okay, so number 5 is A Land Without Magic, season 1, episode 22. Little finale.
The finale? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 1, right?
Okay. Number 4 is season 3, episode 21, Snow Drifts.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense, actually.
And then 3 is season 4, episode 23, Operation Mongoose, part 2.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
that's fair. That they ate. That's fair. But I didn't think it'd be another finale. Okay.
And then number 2 is season 3, episode 11, Going Home.
Oh, okay. Is
It's
that one
when-
of the ones I actually said, or
No.
I said Save Henry.
It's when they stop Pan from placing
Yeah.
the other curse.
And then they're like, "All right, time to head home."
Yeah. It hits like all of them. Okay, and the number 1 top rated is There's No Place Like Home, season 3, episode 22.
Ayo, I got that one.
Yeah, you got that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. that makes sense that
That's the
one would
first
be
one.
top one. I actually think that was actually prime time. That was when Marion came back. That was a crazy episode.
Crazy time.
That was and heartbreaking. Oh, seeing poor Regina with her little lasagna, put it down and walk out crying. Heartbreaking. Anyway.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and segue us into our kind of next segment, but not exactly. So, what is your opinion on like a bad choice in the media? We've already talked about quite a few choices that you don't agree with.
Yeah.
So you could talk about your most like, or we could go ahead and say what's your hot take on the media.
On the show, like
on the show.
Okay. I'm not gonna touch on the bad because I could go on for hours.
We've already discussed.
I'm gonna say probably my least favorite was just sis. My least favorite was just there's so many.
There's so many.
The fact that Rumpel never got his comeuppance. Even the end, I don't think he really got his comeuppance, if I remember correctly.
And I feel like comeuppance is like, dying is a cheap way out. Nah,
Yeah.
let them live. Let
I'm
them
like,
live and suffer
You're
for a
telling
second.
me he just gets to die?
That's
crazy. That's okay.
There is a fate worse than death, and they should have the worse than death.
I think my least favorite was the choice of the hunter at all in season 1. I think he added no value to that season other than let's make Emma and Regina both sexually frustrated and then have Regina kill him while Emma's making out with him.
Yeah, and I don't get the hunter at all. Well, I guess
I don't. He never really had a full like I know it was like, oh, she had his heart, so he was like, he couldn't have known everything, and it's like, I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, but
Cora had like a lot of hearts, and no one was having that like huge issue.
maybe like he just didn't connect the dots. Like maybe he was the one that was like left out of situation.
That's where the ball dropped.
Yeah.
Just the hunter in general. It's just
True.
just you forget about that plot point, and then it's like, oh yeah,
That did happen.
that was a
huh?
thing, wasn't
Yeah.
it? But yeah, that's my least favorite.
All right. So we're gonna go on to our next segment, which is hot takes on the media. I scoured the land of Reddit as I found these.
Oh God, I'm so scared.
And so we
I'm
have
gonna
a
be
thing of
pissed.
agree, disagree, or disrespectfully disagree.
Mm.
So
I feel like it's gonna be a lot of disrespectfully disagree.
So, the first one, we're starting off strong. Speaking of Swan,
Oh God.
Captain Swan was the most compelling romance.
So unbelievably disrespectfully disagree.
Mhm.
So I slap your mama disrespectfully disagree. Like so whoever said that just liked the actor's accent. and and
And that's
see
all.
that's all, because what was compelling about them, that they were weirdly constantly toxic for each other,
They just
is
were
that
weird.
the same person who thinks that's a compelling relationship thinks Rumpel and Belle are a stable relationship. That's insane. I would sooner say Snow and Charming were the most compelling, which they were boring. No, easily not a chance.
Mhm.
Easily, there are so many other couples that were far more compelling than that's insane.
Yeah.
That's so disrespectfully disagree. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow. Like, so
I know.
disrespectfully
I saw this
disagree.
one and I was like, oh, let me put that in
She's
there.
like, gotta say it. Gotta say
have
it.
to say
yeah, no, people who think that's crazy to me.
Mhm.
That's, you know what? I respect that people can sometimes have really hard delusions, and that's okay. Delusions are okay. It's a safe place, but also disrespectfully disagree.
All right. The next one is David should have died in season 3, and it would have been a chance to develop Snow's character more and learn to live without him.
Ooh, you know what?
Agreed.
I totally agree. That would have been such an interesting. As much as I loved their interactions in the later seasons, if he had actually died when
Died?
they like prepped him to die, that would have been such an interesting
That would have been
plot
a
point.
plot, yeah.
That could have been so cool. It would have been. See, that's a person who I feel like what they were trying to do with Regina, they should have totally done it with Snow.
Yeah.
That would have been so cool. Like, Snow was the one who kind of always needed. And I know, like, her whole backstory was like, oh, I don't need a. But, like, then
And
she
then she
became
found
so
him, yeah.
incredibly dependent on him. And it's like,
True.
I mean, the fact that they shared one heart, I think, really tells you how unbelievably dependent they were on each other. Yeah, I actually agree. I actually would say I strongly agree. I think that could have been a really interesting, fun plot point that would have been totally different to, like, anything they actually did, except with Regina, which made no sense.
All right. So, this is going to be our last little final one.
Oh.
And we kind of talked about this already. So, this may be a quick little But people who say Belle and Rumpel is bad and toxic miss the point of their relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And my reaction to that is
Boo. Yep.
boo.
Yep, I so strongly disagree. How could we miss what's your justification for the point then?
Yeah, I was like, so what is the point?
The point of their relationship is that this is a person who probably has seen narcissistic gaslighting people and thought they were pleasant.
Yeah.
Or maybe a narcissistic gaslighter itself. That's a crazy take.
I'd say it's an insanely crazy take. Like, once again.
Yeah.
But then, what is the point of their relationship?
Let's
talk about it, because I feel like that's the
unbelievably toxic. Tell me why it's not toxic.
Well, one thing is the show itself is pretty much like, oh no, like it's not really that toxic. Which disagree.
They definitely downplay the fact that it's toxic
or abusive. Like, I'm just gonna call it. It was a pretty heavily abusive relationship.
It was totally abusive.
And, like, there was nothing to really justify it, and, like,
I mean, he totally killed the man that she was, like, with.
Yeah.
Gaston wasn't actually a bad guy, if I remember correctly, in the show.
Like,
You
in the
find out when they go to Hades, you find out he actually, plot twist, wasn't that bad of a guy.
like, it was just, like, she wasn't, like,
She just wasn't in
she
love
just
with
really
him.
wasn't
And he
in
ended
love
up
with him.
accepting it. And then they, like, had fallen back in love. And then Rumple killed him, if I remember correctly. Now, that's one of those plots that I was like, listen, it got to a point where I wasn't paying attention much to Rumple and Belle, because every time they were on the screen, it's like, listen, if you lie to someone consistently, how is that not toxic?
Yeah, and then, like, it's so... I wish Belle just stood the fuck up. Like, please stand up.
And she stood up and then gave up on her standing up.
Yeah, and then, like, and all that, I don't understand why she gave up on that. Like, wasn't she living a better life? Wasn't he still on
She
that
was
bowl
living a better
actively?
life. He was still being who he is.
I don't even know what's the
It made no.
point.
If I remember correctly, he was on the brink of death, and she was like, "I don't want to lose you," and it's like, okay, but he hasn't changed.
Yeah, at least if
That's
you're
a shitty
dying,
reason
like,
to-
see the light and be like, I need to change my ways. Or at least a little bit. Let me change my ways. Why stay that? I don't understand the point of their relationship at all. Like, I don't think they complement each other at all. I don't
think so.
And I don't know, and, like,
And it's nothing against Robert Carlyle.
no.
The actor, incredible.
Incredible actor.
Incredible with the character. Like, oh
The
my god.
character itself is
The
like,
fact
what are
that
you
I
doing?
hated that
What's-
character so thoroughly shows how incredible of an actor he is.
Yeah. And, like, he killed it. But in a writing perspective, like, I wish I was a fly on that wall, because what's the point of their relationship, actually?
Legitimately,
Because, like, I would be, like, opposites attract. But even then, they weren't exactly...
they weren't even opposites. That would mean that, like, they had some kind of opposition. The only opposition they had was he was an absolutely terrible person.
Yeah.
And she was great. Actually, she was great to a point. They actually
I
kind
thought
of
she was
made
kind
it.
of boring.
I thought
but-
she was boring, but I also thought that, like, they got to a point where they made her kind of awful. They, like, she wasn't exactly pure either.
no,
Like,
she
the
wasn't...
great thing about Belle was she was supposed to be this kind person. Belle really made excuses for a lot of the shitty things Rumple did, even though they were very clearly evil.
But then, if that's the point of their relationship, that anyone will find anyone, then I guess they killed it.
Yeah,
I
you're
guess-
right. You are
I
so
guess they killed it.
right. If that is the point of, but
But what's
here's
the
my thing.
point?
Even if we knew the point of their relationship,
It's still...
how does that not make them toxic? It
That's-
feels like the statement was so mutually, like, I'm sorry, as someone who's in critical thinking, this is one of those moments where we're in a statement that is an or situation.
Mhm.
Both of them are right, though. It's if that's not saying that this
Yeah.
person is right. I'm saying these like the 2 points that you're making is people who think this, like, thing is toxic, blah blah blah. This relationship's toxic. Miss the point. How is it missing the point?
Yeah, I
How
don't...
is it in what part of the show actually genuinely showed redeeming Rumple? Let's take a look at their wedding. On their wedding, when he gives her the dagger to show, I'm all yours, you can command me,
Yeah.
and to have that last bit of faith, because he's like, okay, I'm a better guy now.
I'm getting married, and I
But also,
trust my wife.
the dagger he gave her was a
Was a
fake.
fake.
And you see
was
in
fake.
that episode that he still had the actual dagger. And it was like, I'm sorry, what point did we miss?
Because either way, if you do mean it that way, we're still right.
We're still
We're
right.
still right in our
It's like-
statement.
But, like I said before with the Captain Swan interesting take, you are totally justified in any delusion you choose.
have.
But I disrespectfully disagree.
Disagree. And then I could go on and on about
I
that.
know.
Well, my whole thing is, if you're gonna show a couple, at least show that couple being happy just by themselves.
Yes.
Because even in the show, if they were by
Well,
themselves,
I will say they showed Belle a lot happier without him.
yeah.
Which was hilarious.
So I don't. At least if you're gonna play off, or if you're gonna play off having a bad person be in a relationship, at least a bad person, unless they're a narcissist or something of that or abusive. But you could call someone a shitty person, but they could still have an honest relationship with someone.
Yeah.
They get along, they all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's very
Shitty
important.
people are people too.
Yeah, like they are people too, and
Yeah.
they find people that they get along with and they connect and all
Usually
that.
mutually shitty people.
Yeah. But at least they like each other and they are nice to each other, though.
At least they aren't toxic to each other. Rumple
This is
was
not it.
so unbelievably toxic to her. I think he was less toxic to Zelina.
Yeah.
Hot take. If he should have gotten with anyone, I think it was Zelina. I think he was low-key actually genuinely kind of in love with Zelina because Zelina reminded him of Cora. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing, ladies and gents. He never got over Cora because guess what? Cora was the one who decided to leave. And he's that type of man.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I 1,000% agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe, because I didn't buy for a second he was over Cora. Not for a second. Not for a second.
The way the scenes together they had, it was like his ass never got. I'm sorry, I never saw real chemistry between him and Belle.
No.
I'm gonna say it. I never really saw real chemistry between them.
Me either.
Because
I guess they had that.
Cora.
I guess they had that one episode where like they were trying to do like the something there.
The chipped cup episode.
Yeah.
But
like
yeah.
It's
but, like,
giving
even
nothing,
that,
sir.
I'm like,
that
okay,
doesn't count. That's not much.
If anything, you seem like you're mad at her. It's like, yeah. I'm sorry. How unbelievably obsessed with your ex do you have to be to fuck both her children? That's how obsessed with your ex do you have to be? Technically, him and Regina never actually consummated.
Yeah.
But she says in I think it was like season 5. It when they brought Evil Queen. Oh, don't even get me started on that. Evil Queen and Evil Robin pissed me off. You know what that was? Because that was right after they killed off Robin. That was them trying to say, but you know, we still put them together, just not Regina and Robin specifically. Yeah. That's bullshit.
No,
that's bullshit.
That
doesn't count. That's such a fucking cop out. That's such a cop out. Yeah. They also got her hopes up so fucking high.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, they're still. That's bullshit. You're telling me you can bring everyone back? You brought Rumple back from the dead so many fucking times.
There's so many.
So many times. But anyway, on to the when they brought Evil Queen, she was like, me and Rumple always had a odd relationship. And I'm like, yeah, that's not fucking surprising. Because you guys definitely seemed like you were like, but I think, I mean, I don't personally know this, but there are some people who like hate each other so bad that it turns them on.
Oh yeah,
I think that was what was happening with.
Like, I hate you so much, so I will pound you.
Regina's like, I hate you so much, which really gets me going because I'm just fueled by anger right now. Yeah. Whereas Rumple was like, I miss your mother so bad, and I will just do it. It's like. And I think that's why him and Zelina, like, really had a thing, was because Zelina definitely looked more like her mother. I can't tell you how Cora and Henry created Regina. How did that happen? How did Cora and Henry create Regina?
I don't.
Like, she did not look like her mother in the slightest, but she also didn't look like her father much. It was like, where did the black hair come from?
I don't know. Maybe it's just like, okay, she was evil, so therefore she transformed and she looks like how she looks like.
But yeah. And so I just, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's the end of our hot take segment. But now we have our little wrapping up that we need to do. So we're not talking about the finale episode of Once Upon a Time. So it was canceled. It was very swift. Not swiftly, I would say canceled. It lasted a few years, but it was canceled.
Definitely should have been canceled a couple of seasons
Yeah.
sooner.
It was canceled after 7 seasons. And especially contracts ended, so they couldn't even get the full cast for the 7th season.
They didn't even get most of the cast.
They did not get most of the cast for the 7th season. So it definitely should have, at least at the bare minimum, got canceled after season 6. But season 7 happened.
They probably begged Lana Parrilla to stay.
Probably. But what was the finale, and how do you think it holds up? Like, did the ball drop? Like, what?
Okay. The ball for sure dropped the whole season.
Yeah. It was not a needed season.
For sure dropped the whole season. The weird Regina Facilier itch to scratch, and then, but he's still evil, and so that wasn't a thing at all. They almost got me back with that, actually, because I was like, oh, this is someone from when she was like, evil, and they're trying to tell us he's changed too. Maybe he will change because of Regina. And then they were like, what was the point in having it at all, really?
Yeah.
You kind of already did similar things with Hades and Zelena, so why bring that kind of a plot back?
Yeah. They like reusing stuff, and
especially, I'm sorry, that whole season was like kind of trying to recycle season 1.
Yes.
To try and get the spark back.
It actively
but
was.
But it was like a shitty version of it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it was trying to like homage where they knew it was like the final season and everything.
Yeah,
so
they're like, look, it's coming back. But it's like, the finale? Okay. Okay. I think there was one part of that finale I liked. One of the parts is I did like Jared S.'s, like riding off into the vortex to explore kind of like he became kind of like a Brothers Grimm situation and was going to be an author, and him going into like the vortex was like kind of cool on his like little motorcycle. I was like, why'd they make him cool at the very last moment? I'm like, wait a minute. Like, Henry's been like, little Henry for... Listen, I hated Henry first season, so it was like... He was
just an annoying little kid who I think just really didn't understand.
Yeah, and he also took his mom... I'm sorry, Regina was his mom. He took his mom for granted like crazy.
I know, and I don't get why... Like, Emma to me is like the deadbeat dad that just comes around for fun, but when it comes to actually parenting your fucking kid, like, you are nowhere to be seen. But
her and Hook having a kid, that's gonna be so bad. That's gonna be so bad.
I know.
They're so obsessed with themselves. How?
I feel like they shouldn't have children.
They should not have kids.
It's okay. Yes, some people should have children, but there's child-free couples out there, and those two should have been child-free couples.
Yeah.
I guess yes, Emma did have Henry. But she gave Henry up. She wasn't much of a mother figure, really, to Henry.
Even coming back into his life.
Like,
no.
It feels like more like a friend. I get where, like, yeah, Henry may see her as a mom now.
Yeah.
But he's a kid.
Yeah.
That's just spending time. Actually, like, teaching them stuff.
I also
Regina
did that. The person who, like, was saying goodbye to him before he went into the vortex, I don't think Emma was there. Which I get contracts, but also I think it's very... they didn't even mention Emma saying goodbye, I don't think. If I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've specifically watched the finale, but I'm pretty sure not only did they not show any type of Emma... And wait a minute. No, it can't even be contracts because Emma was also in the finale at the end when they... Okay. And so, never mind, I can't even use that as a justification. the only person who was there to say goodbye, I am 98.999% sure, was Regina. And I'm like, not even his grandparents. I'm like, yeah, guess what? That's your mom. That's the one who's.
Well, at least they had that, where at least, like, they had a mom moment.
Yeah.
But, but the thing is, did he, like, call her mom?
Who?
Did Henry ever, like, really actually call her mom?
Oh,
when
yeah.
She was growing up.
Oh, when he was growing up? I think he forced himself to call her mom when he was, like, growing up. But, and then, like, in the series, when, like, everything, like, when he finally looked at his mom, you know, the one who kept giving him, she was there when he was, like, what's crazy to me is she wasn't neglectful in the least.
No,
she had
wasn't.
A job. She was a working woman.
She was a working woman.
But I'm like, but she still made sure to come home. She baked for him. She cooked for him. And she was, like, good. It wasn't like she was a shitty cook or a shitty baker. They specifically point out that she was incredible at, like, everything she did. And it's like...
And I guess, like, when it comes to feeding him or whatever, it's bare minimum.
Yeah.
But, like, she honestly loved him.
She honestly loved him.
She was like, this is my son. I need to do all of this for my son.
The first episode when he, like, went back to Emma and you see her grab his pillow and sob into it and just curl up in a ball. And it's like, yeah, guess what? Emma never shows any kind of that kind of,
I know.
I miss myself. It's not like he was in a different, like, dimension. When he was in a different dimension, Emma never showed any kind of that. She never showed any kind of, I miss my son.
Or I need to get... No, it's just, I guess, like, they want to go badass, but even then, I would say Regina's more.
Yeah.
One, but...
It was... Anyway, sorry. The finale.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I think, evil Henry... What is this? What is this evil doppelganger bullshit?
I hate that. That's such a cop-out. I'm like, please,
are we General
up.
Hospital? Like, it got to a point, it was like, the evil queen. Okay, you could justify that. She legitimately split herself.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. And then it was like, okay, the evil queen. Okay, that's justification. Evil Robin Hood. Okay.
Let's go.
Or Robin of what? Robin of Locksley. I think that's what evil Robin Hood was. It was like a different name, but it was like, okay. And then it was like Sir Henry. It's like, okay. I'm like, why is, like, every chance we're doing evil doppelganger bullshit?
Yeah, it's like, please, let's not do that. That's such a boring, and it's a boring thing too. That hasn't been popular, like, in ages.
Yeah.
Centuries ago even.
And
so
it's like, surprise, surprise, who brought him? Oh yeah, Rumple. Again. It's like at the end of the day, if it wasn't someone from the outside who usually was influenced by Rumple to do something, it was Rumple himself.
It was just Rumple, period.
And it's like, okay, well, I guess we're consistent. And it's like, but he's still painted by people as, like, this, like, good guy. He was easily the worst person. He made the Black Fairy look kind. It's like at least she was upfront about the fact that she, like, was a villain now. And it's like, but anyway. And so, yeah, surprise, surprise. Henry was brought by evil Rumple, who acted like he wasn't evil, but surprise, surprise, he is. And it's like, and then you've got, listen, baby of Zelena and Robin Hood. That pisses me off. That makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Also, Zelena and Robin Hood's baby, Robin, is with Alice. And, like, that was when lesbian couples were accepted finally in the media.
Yeah, and
so now they were like, let's profit on lesbian couples, and it's like, okay, with a listen, abomination. The fact that Zelena had a kid with Robin is so upsetting.
Yeah.
Because guess what? What she did was technically rape.
Yeah.
Because she pretended to be married. She pretended to be his
Yeah.
wife.
He pretended to be his wife, and they.
Just to really stick it to Regina. She's
for
like,
some reason.
haha, I now have, one of the things you love most dearly. And it's like, that's so fun. It's like, and then he died.
Yeah.
And then, anyway, and so her and her girlfriend, Robin and Alice, are trying to save the day with Lucy. I will say, Lucy, easily way better than young Henry. Easily way better than young Henry. Oh, God, I loved Lucy. I actually really... Or is it Lacey? No, I think it was Lucy. It was definitely Lucy. I loved Lucy. Easily better than young Henry. And not just because, like... She wasn't as whiny. She just got things done, but not in, like, a whiny way. She was like, my life's awful. Why is your life awful, Henry? Did your mom bake you a pie this morning? I'm like.
Well, I guess, like, it's like, like the whole blissful ignorance argument where he was aware of the stuff that happened, so therefore he couldn't be happy because he knew stuff wasn't right. But she knew stuff wasn't right.
It was like they corrected their wrong.
It depends how you just take it, apparently. They're two very different kids.
Yeah. And Lucy being his kid and Cinderella's kid, that's kind of weird in my opinion, but okay. I'll accept it, I suppose. I'm like, and then being, right, Regina's alter name was Ronnie. That's and they cut her hair, and they gave her highlights, and they were like, she will be a barkeep. And I'm like, is she lesbian as well? Like, because her luck with men is kind of real bad.
Yeah,
it's like, it's not great. They usually die. It's like, are we changing her luck? No. It was Dr. Facilier who's evil. It's like, okay, cool. Anyway, and so, finale, they save everyone. Okay, cool. I guess it tracked when you add the season. But when you think, like, back to, the earlier seasons, the good ones.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
No.
Cool,
it does
I
not
guess.
fit.
And then ending it with, listen, okay, I will say I loved this scene because Regina was Queen of Queens, and that's incredible, and I love that. And they gave her an incredible, oh, God, the dress. Oh, gosh. They were like, she already looks incredible, but we will make her look even more incredible. Easily the most incredible.
They said we need to make one last outfit for her because she was our favorite.
One last outfit. She was our favorite, but we ruined her life constantly. It was like...
I mean, the costume department could be like...
yeah.
You could tell they liked her better.
They liked her better. They really did. They always pulled out with her.
Yeah, they really did.
Like, what? Emma wore the same shit, like, every day. Emma was just essentially... It was jeans, her leather jacket, sometimes... then she changed the color of her leather jacket. I'm like,
to like that blonde little
and then
leather
that weird
jacket.
time that she did that she did sweaters. That was weird. That was weird. Why you look like she looks like the estranged dad who came back to try and be friends with her son. Yeah, they legitimately were like, oh, we have to make her look more. I feel like that was them being like, we have to make her look more maternal. And it was like, she doesn't look maternal. She looks like that deadbeat dad who comes back and is like, son, here's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna do this and this. And like kind of prove, like act like people are like, I need to get into this role. So I need to completely change myself, and it just looked weird.
And it's just like, okay, well, and then they brought her back to the leather jackets because, that's kind of how you can't play her for 4 seasons as a leather-wearing girl and then go, oh, but she's also his mother. No. Come on now. But anyway, and so that final, I think that was even the final scene of crowning Regina, and the justification for not bringing Robin back people made was, by people, I mean the writers. Well, we wanted to show that she can do things independently. Yeah, she spent most of the series independent. That's not really something you have to prove. She loved herself independently. She grew with Henry, and I'm like, that's not...
And it wasn't like she ever really depended on a partner. it was just her plus her partner.
Yeah, it was
So-
never. There was never an episode where I was like, they can't survive without each other. No, they very clearly can. Even when she was depressed, she was still like eating and still like, even when she was depressed because he was like, with Marion again. It's like there are so
She
many
was-
other couples who were genuinely dependent on each other.
Mhm.
Snow and Charming.
Snow and Charming.
Like, and weirdly, Hook and Emma became, but like easily more of a toxic way of
Yeah,
of
being
dependent
really
on each
dependent.
other, which was kind of crazy. Like you see when she's Dark Swan. Oh God, don't even get me started on that season. I try and forget that existed. Dark Swan was the most boring bullshit I've ever seen. And I was like, oh, so she blamed Regina for that. And I was like, okay. Okay.
Alrighty then.
Okay. You do what you want, Emma. I'm like, do what you want. But, and so it's like, you see in that series that they're like in a real toxic way dependent on each other too. And it's like, ew. Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
Why is all of this a thing? And it's like, anyway, and so ending the series with Regina being Queen of Queens is, I guess it was a small bonus in a very crappy, grim, ironically, grim situation. And so, yeah.
Out of 10, what would you give the finale episode?
Oh God. Comparatively, like through the whole series, or like,
I mean, I would say just like on its own. How did it stand?
without the last scene, easily a 2. With the last scene, oh God, I have such animosity. With the last scene, I would say an 7 or an 8. It at least was, even though the show became screwy, at least it was like still with the show. It wasn't like what Lost did of the really confusing. Actually, I really loved the Lost finale because my favorite couple got together. I'm trying to think of a finale that really... Oh, Game of Thrones. Everyone talks about Game of Thrones. Shittiest finale.
The most disappointing.
Yeah, no one really got... except Sansa, who I fucking hated Sansa. I hated Sansa. And so it was like, okay, Sansa gets a happy ending. Yeah, so like, it at least wasn't... It wasn't that. It wasn't like everything's
Fully
awful.
Terrible, yeah.
Nothing's good. The only people who get a win are people who aren't even that much liked. And so it's like, so I would say, if I have to, 8.
Okay. Well, the actual rating of the finale was an 8.9.
Whoa!
So,
yeah, that makes sense. They really won it over with that last scene, I feel like. the rest was like, yeah, I get that. 8.9. Good for them. Good for them ending it strong. Now look at the ratings of that last season. I bet it's
a different story.
2 out of 10. 1.
But out of 10, what would you give the whole series? Everything all together.
Oh God, everything. Oh, it has to lose points for the last couple of seasons. It can't. It's not gonna sit at an 8. I would say, oh gosh, but I did love the first couple, and so I'm kind of torn.
That's the thing. The first couple were pretty good.
The first couple,
they were pretty good.
Even till I would say even till like season 4, maybe season 5. I was like, okay, I'm eating this up. The moment they killed Robin, I was like, yeah, you
lost
bitches.
me.
I'm like, you're the worst. You're the worst. I'm like, okay, the whole series. I part of me wants to say 6.5, but I'm gonna have to say 7.
Okay.
Because the first couple of seasons really, I would say 7.5. That's my final answer.
Okay. Well, it's a 7.7 out
That's
of 10.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's listen. Yeah, that makes sense. That
it's like a very
the early seasons boost it back up, I feel like. Because oh gosh, the later seasons really tank it.
That's like just stop watching. At what point would you tell someone to just stop watching?
right before they're about to enter the mayor's office, right before Robin's death in the Hades arc, right when you see Robin and Regina kiss, turn it off.
You turn it off.
Mayday, turn it off. Turn it off now. The moment you see them have a really cute, and you can the craziest thing is, I knew it was going to happen because you could tell by the cinematography.
That it was going to happen.
I actually didn't think it was going to be Robin. I think they controversially were going to somehow kill Regina, and I was like, that's crazy. And so
then they ended
the
up killing Robin.
cinematography changed, and you can always tell when a couple's really going to, that's going to be their nail in a coffin, because they start having, like, really cutesy moments throughout the whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
They started having such cutesy moments, and I was looking at my brother, and I go, oh, crap.
They're going to
I was like, they're going to die. Someone's going to die. This isn't good. And he was like, how could you possibly know that? I'm like, look at the cinematography.
Look, like,
they're screwing us over. You can tell.
They're dancing in the flowers.
Yeah, they're dancing through life. It's like, oh, they're screwing us. They're going to screw us. I don't know how. And you can tell because the last moment right before they went in was like the cutest moment. And the cinematography was different. And then they went in and he died. And I was like, yeah, so right at that moment, the moment that they had that really cute moment right before they go in the mayor's office, turned it off. Mayday. Turn it off.
All right. But since we have hit the end and we finally rated the series, we finally did the finale and everything. Like I think you already mentioned, but would you agree with official IMDb ratings?
For sure.
Like they're pretty on the point.
I was pretty on the we were pretty mutually IMDb and me were pretty mutually like, yeah, that's about.
That's when it'll
and
do
it's
it.
totally because of the earlier seasons with the foundation of it.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any last words on this podcast before we sign off?
Regina and Robin should have been Endgame, and the whole series should have just been about them. Just the whole series should have just been. It just should have got to a point where none of the other couples mattered, and it was just about Regina and Robin.
Regina and Robin. I mean, yeah, I infinitely like them more. Like 10
they were just so much better. They were just.
I like them better than everyone.
Easily,
literally,
the best people. The best people. Yeah.
All right, but thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. We yapped quite a bit about Once Upon a Time over how not bad. I wouldn't say as a whole how bad it was, but how bad it got.
Got so bad.
It got so bad. At least we told people when to just turn it off. We should do like that TikTok. Now that TikTok trend of like saving myself, and it's like people stop right before a bad moment in the show. And we should just do that.
Just do that.
All right, but thank you for everyone who's listening out there, and thank you so much for hearing us. And that's it on Spoiler Alert with April. And I will talk to you next time I talk to you.